Ask the animals, and they will teach you. Job 12, verse 7. I've always been different for as long as I can remember. Ever since I was very young, I never quite fitted in with my peer group, and as such I found it very difficult to make and keep friends. I was often interested in things that were not suitable for my age group, and I moved from one obsession to another with no respite in between. For a good few years, the Disney cartoon The Lion King was my life. I researched the art behind the film, I knew trivia about the production process, I knew all the lines, and I spent every day drawing my favourite characters. I immersed myself in this alternative world, and that's all very well and good when you're, say, age 7, but it's maybe not so good if you're age 16, like I was. Other obsessions followed: Star Wars, helicopters, aviation, trains, and this made me an easy target for bullying. Physically, I was on par with my peer group, however, cognitively, I was a lot younger than my biological age. At school, I struggled with bullying, and every day I would go to school, and people would psychologically torment me, and they would call me names and stare at me, whisper about me, not sit next to me, and they'd look disgusted if I tried sitting next to them. And they generally made me feel like I had no place in society. I had no confidence, no self-esteem, and just generally hated myself and couldn't figure out what the point was of me being here. It was and still is a daily struggle. I'm consciously aware that I inhabit a different world to neurotypical people. The best way I would describe it is that it's like going on holiday to a foreign country and you go to a supermarket and you can't find what you're looking for. So you ask the staff member, but they can't understand what you're saying and you can't understand them, and it's frustrating. Things get misconstrued, but in your mind what you're trying to tell them is quite clear. And eventually you get fed up of trying to get people to understand you, so you give up trying to engage. And it's easier just to live in your own non-neurotypical world than it is to try and inhabit the world that everyone else does. And that's fine up to a point, but you can't inhabit your own world forever. You can't go your whole life without answering the phone because you're too scared. You can't continue to live your life on the internet hiding behind a picture, engaging with people who are just words on a screen. You can't just come home from school and retreat to your bedroom and not talk to anyone. You need to engage with real life people. You need society. You need a herd. Winding back the clock to 2007, I was walking down to the village shop one day when I passed by our post office window, and I stopped and perused the adverts and notices, and one stood out in particular, and it said, "Are you bored, lonely, stressed or depressed?" And I thought, yeah, I am. And it said, "Come and learn natural horsemanship and let the horses heal you." And I said, okay, that sounds like fun, I like horses, why not? And it said, "Call this number." I said, no, I'm a bit scared of making telephone calls, I'd rather text and hope the person doesn't talk to me. And I texted Jackie and arranged a time to go down. And when I got there was some other children there as well. And I was given the task of brushing Jaffa, who was a small brown pony with a flaxen mane. And I thought, you don't get this at traditional riding schools, you just turn up, ride the pony and go home. And I thought, this is pretty cool, this is somewhere different. And I continued to attend New Life Horse Care and helped out with Jaffa, and I learned valuable lessons along the way. When working with horses, you need to be authentic. You can't lie to a horse, it's impossible. If you go out to a field and you try and catch a horse and you hide the lead rope behind your back, he knows your intention when you get to the gate, and he'll run away from you. The horse knows your intentions long before you do. And people are funny creatures. They'll say one thing, but they'll mean another, and they put on masks to hide their true, authentic selves. They put up fronts, and it's almost as though they're in a film and they're playing multiple characters. They have one mask for their family, one for their colleagues, one for their friends. And people lie to themselves so much, and they lose track of who they really are. But the horse can see through all the lies that you build around yourself, and it can expose you for who you really are. And sometimes this is hard for people to come to terms with, but this is why equine healing works, because it's a no-nonsense approach to getting your cards out on the table, and the horse acts like a mirror to the human soul, so it shows you a physical manifestation of your soul right before your eyes. And this makes it easier to problem solve, as it almost separates you from your problems, so you can look at them more objectively and find a solution. With this in mind, I was confronted with Jaffa, who on the surface was lovely, but he did give me some behaviours that I didn't like. He was bargy on the ground, he sometimes bit, and he would bolt and buck you off if he got bored of you riding him. And I thought, if this is a physical representation of my soul, what does that say about me? And I thought, and it told me that I was frustrated. I was frustrated at people not understanding me, and so I felt I had to shout every time to be heard and to be understood. And this is what Jaffa was showing me. Rather than him exhibiting warning behaviours when he was getting stressed, he would just explode because the communication wasn't there, and that was the only way that he felt he could get his message across. Together, me and Jaffa worked through this, and our communication improved, and my communication improved in turn with society. I developed a newfound confidence and I was able to see situations more objectively, and I learned about more acceptable social behaviours. The ponies also gave me a massive shot of self-esteem. And it was quite simple. I'd worked with ponies, received praise, and over time as this was repeated, my self-esteem and self-worth increased. I was still having problems at school and that never did stop, but at least I had this sanctuary to go to each evening and at weekends. And the ponies and Jackie helped bring me out of my inner world that I had created as my safe place, and they gave me the communication I desperately needed and believed in me where my peers had let me down. They gave me valuable friendship and helped to show me that every pony has their place in the herd, and that every person has their place in society, and that every child matters. Fast forward to 2017, and although I still struggle daily with trying to understand and function alongside neurotypical people, I'm working full-time, and I have worked full-time since I was 18, and I'm currently working for Devon County Council in social services, and I've worked my way up the ladder, gaining 3 new jobs, each higher than the last in the space of 2 years. Although the office environment can be a challenge with all the different noises and people, I do well at my job, and I'm always being given new and challenging tasks to undertake. I've designed and implemented some software for the team to use, which I'm striving to continuously improve. Word has spread, and I've had other managers come forward interested in what I've been doing, with one in particular telling me you're operating way above your pay grade. Where I was once nervous about answering my phone, I now make daily phone calls in my job, negotiating contract costs with providers, and liaising with other professionals. I use my society-perceived problems to my advantage. My eye for detail, 150% focus and dedication, and ability to zone out means that I can process extremely high levels of work accurately and quickly. I have an inability to sit still or relax, and I need to be constantly busy with something, which is great for a high-pressure job like mine where the workload is never-ending. I also design and maintain a website for New Life Horse Care and do any graphic design work as required. And I also have my own 3 little Dartmoor ponies who teach me something new every day, and all of whom have vastly different personalities. Whilst I continue to struggle to fit into this strange world where everybody seems to be speaking a totally different language, that early intervention and New Life Horse Care made a world of difference and showed me that I am important and that I matter.
Lovely.